7 a.m. Montreal. The business day begins. Meeting time Toronto, 9 a.m. Canada has always depended on transportation to bind the country together. From the days of the canoe and stagecoach, very few players could join in the game. Competition was carefully controlled. When the country was finally linked by John A. Macdonald's railway, there were only two major players, the government and Canadian Pacific. Then came the airlines. The membership of the Transportation Club didn't change very much. In Canada, the airlines are regulated. The number of players, the price of tickets, who can fly, where they fly. The Canadian Transport Commission, a government body, sets the rules. Outside the country, competition is the name of the game. Holiday travel is the fastest growing sector of the airline industry. This is where a new player can break in. This film is about one of them. Max Ward is a rare bird. He owns and runs an airline.
Very nice. It's my first flight, so it's very nice to fly.
It's my first screening, too.
We have a honeymoon couple here somewhere.
Right in front of us, right there.
Where's the honeymoon couple?
Congratulations. Wonderful.
Thank you. If you have any complaints, there he is, right there.
Congratulations and have a nice holiday.
Thank you.
Next, another honeymoon couple.
Another honeymoon.
Another honeymoon couple.
Golly, congratulations. Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
2 weeks in Barbados?
Just 1 week.
No,
6
1 week.
sinful days.
Oh, I see. 1 week, back to work.
Thank you for giving us the first-class headphones rather than
yeah,
the dinky little ones.
Yeah, they're a lot easier in the ears, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Well, I can put them on and not have to listen to her.
Ah, you're going to have to listen to her for the rest of your life. You better get used to it.
We have 7 airplanes in our fleet. A lot of people find that hard to believe because they see Wardair airplanes all over the world, but the point is we are still a small airline.
Wardair is really the smallest international carrier in Canada, and there is a paranoia in the Air Canada CPs of this world about Wardair, and we represent a very small amount of traffic.
We will be giving evidence in our direct, which we believe will answer all those questions that relate
10
to
a.m.,
the ABC.
the nation's capital. The Canadian Transport Commission summons all the airlines to another hearing. Business is down.
Do you swear that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Would you please state your full name, spell your last name for the record?
My name is Maxwell William Ward, W-A-R-D.
And your address, Mr. Ward?
Address is 69 Westbrook Drive, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Thank you. My purpose in appearing before you today is to recommend a major change to national transportation policy. In order to be perfectly clear, the recommendations I am proposing in policy is airline deregulation. The reason I am recommending this fundamental change in policy is that 2 airlines, one government-owned and the other a part of Canada's largest conglomerate, dominate Canadian airline domestic and international scheduled services. But let me hasten to assure you, Wardair is not recommending to become a scheduled air carrier. Not under the present regulatory regime. In that situation, being a member of the club, thrust between 2 giants, unable to maneuver, unable to be able to put initiative into the marketplace, and unable to compete on an equal basis, wouldn't do anything for the Canadian public. Another one of the boys isn't going to help the Canadian public.
Well, I've known Max since the mid-'60s when he came down to Boeing with a smile on his face to buy an airplane. He had nothing else but the smile on his face. He had. And we managed to get Max his first jet, the 727.
That was 20 years ago. Now Max has a small fleet competing for the consumer-conscious holiday market.
First, we have to recognize what kind of business we're in. 99% of our business comes from a passenger who's paying for a ticket with after-tax dollars. We don't have a great deal of business travel on our airplane, so these people are spending hard-earned cash. And the motivating philosophy around here is that if they're spending their hard-earned cash, they deserve to get the very, very best in treatment, and that includes service at the best prices that we can put out for that service, and that controls everything that is done around here. We're totally consumer-oriented.
This is the name of the game, as I say it. There's more and more Canadians that are, the market's getting larger in great leaps and bounds of people that have to fly. People are not going by surface anymore. And I think the whole of the airline industry is going to have to adjust to carrying more passengers at less cost and getting volume up and making their profit through that source rather than in a specific small segment of the marketplace.
Who are these people? Are these older people?
Oh, younger ones too. Younger ones now get on an aircraft to go skiing, and it's just like they're getting on a bus. The new generation has really accepted that the airplane is the way to go. You're not going to get them back on the farm.
How long have you been in the airline business?
I started by the Queen teaching me how to fly in the RCAF. And then from there went up to the Canadian Arctic and flew in the bush. This is a little airplane that started Wardair way back in '46. I paid $10,500 for this aircraft with wheels, skis, and floats. And I paid $515.16 per month to the Industrial Acceptance Corporation to buy the aircraft. I can remember I had to fly the aircraft. I had to do the maintenance on the aircraft. I had to run around and get customers to fly in the aircraft with me. I had to go and collect the bills when it was all done. I came out to visit my wife and family twice a year, in the spring and in the fall.
Do you have an active part in the business?
I'm a director of Wardair, active in that context.
What does that mean?
Well, I attend the meetings. I do have a vote. I get outvoted now and then, but I keep trying.
Max has 2 sons, and both of them work for this company. And they've been in rather extensive, long-term training projects.
I think that if members of my family show that they've got what it takes, this company may fall under my or my brother's or my sister's control, but that's yet to be determined. It is a public company.
I don't think either one of us ever dreamt it would grow to the extent that it has.
Whites. Okay, it's a Hans Christoph. It's German Liefermilch. And for you, sir? Red. Red?
Freddie Laker also grew fast, but when the competition got tough, when they matched his prices, Freddie's brown bag service folded. He had nothing else to offer.
Thank you.
Max has survived because of his service and price.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. Did you make a little room for me on your tray?
We offer transportation at the lowest yield per passenger per mile flown of any airline.
Okay.
In the airline business, everything is considered on the basis of per passenger per mile yield. Now there's per seat mile yield, which is your basic cost of moving a seat 1 mile. But your revenues are predicated on a revenue passenger mile.
baked Alaska, and this is a black forest cake.
Our average yield today is 8 to 8.1 cents per passenger per mile. That's on an annualized basis. Give us another cent, make it 9.1 cents even, on average. And we would have big profits. Remember, in this business, the leverage is great. You get your costs and everything, but when you get over a given cost, the profit margin increases at a very high rate. Got good leverage.
Do you want just the gravy roots, Mr. Ward? Do you want just the gravy roots?
What's so gravy about it? For instance, you get 19 cents, I think it is, per passenger mile if you go from Toronto to Vancouver. You get 29 cents per passenger mile if you go from Yellowknife to Edmonton. 31 cents per passenger mile if you go from Montreal to Frobisher. Nothing gravy there. That's where the big money is in the northern routes. That's where the rip-off is.
Today, the only connection Max has with the North is that each of his jumbos is named after a famous Canadian bush pilot.
How many feet? All right, that's good. That's up.
Max got out of the North because of two things. We became a very large airline in the North. We were the major operator out of Yellowknife. We had more airplanes, we had a huge hangar facility, and we began to see that the North simply couldn't absorb the sophisticated type of operation that we had based in Yellowknife. As business went down in the North, the mega projects began to fold, the pipeline folded, and we were building to handle that sophisticated market. And the sophisticated market disappeared. And so the best thing to do there was to back away from it. And we backed away from it, and we certainly, as a corporation, didn't suffer. We sold our airplanes at a profit. We sold our hangar at a profit in Yellowknife. But we were just overly sophisticated for what had happened in the North. If everything had gone through the way it was planned to, we'd still be there.
That's a tremendous market down in the United States. I would just love to see Wardair be able to go down and tap the U.S. market.
But are you willing to compete against some of the U.S.
Well,
carriers
certainly,
here?
we're doing it now. We drove Western Airlines out of Vancouver in Western Canada on the Hawaii run. We moved them right out. And who did it? Wardair did it. No one else. We have 54% of the Canada to Hawaii market, despite the regulations.
They used to come by steamer. You had to be rich, and it took weeks to get there. Airlines changed all that. Now, ordinary mortals can flee the icy grip of winter. In any cold February, Max flies over 20,000 snowbirds to the sun and surf. Hawaii, the land of grass skirts, pineapples, and pig roasts. In the 60s, Hawaii was a paradise ready to be exploited. Wardair promoted the dream. They were the first Canadians to fly here. Hawaii was the company's first major market, and they were here to stay. When the tourist boom took place, Max was ready with the all-inclusive package. Hotels, transportation, and transfers, all included in one price. Max cashed in. In Hawaii, Wardair plays in the big league. They're a long-standing member of the business community. With membership came concessions. They got the cargo rights. Max became the largest mover of pineapples, papayas, and goldfish to Canada.
But we can compete. Everybody seems to think that Canadians can't compete. Canadians can compete, for God's sakes. We can provide good services, and our costs aren't as good as they could be.
You say you've been coming to the transport regulators for 31 years. Why do you think now is the time for deregulation?
Well, now is the only time that it has come to the fore politically. I have been promoting deregulation for 20 years, but nobody will listen to me here. We wouldn't have occurred, wouldn't even come up now in Canada, were it not for deregulation in the States and the attention that the public has been drawn to of American deregulation. You know, I keep hearing about Braniff going out there. Braniff didn't go under because of deregulation. They went under because they thought they were going to steal everybody else's routes. They went out and bought a multiple of aircraft. We ran into them in Seattle. They were running to Seattle, Hawaii, in competition to us at rates we couldn't even believe. Didn't cover their fuel costs, and they were buying fuel at that time at spot market prices. This is why Braniff went wrong. It was a straight business deal, nothing to do with deregulation, except that deregulation made them think they were going to steal all these routes. As a matter of fact, Harding Lawrence thought they were going to reimpose regulation, and he'd be sitting with all those routes. It was a gamble that didn't pay.
Max has gambled too. He wanted a bigger slice of the Canadian market. In the 70s, all the numbers were up. Airlines were flying high. Max built himself a new headquarters in Toronto. The day the front door opened, the recession was on. Max had to look for new ways to keep his company alive. No new planes, hiring frozen, salaries controlled. All the fat had to go. Caution became the name of the game.
I keep worrying about that. It gets in a Mazibilli land or someplace like that, and we lose an engine. It's going to cost us a lot of money. It's a gamble because we don't know what the loads will be like here, but I don't
9:15. The noon European money markets have been checked. Overnight snags have been dealt with. Max begins his daily round of meetings. At Wardair, business is conducted in the halls.
I think we ought to get hacking at it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. See you shortly. If it gets too thin,
Oh, well, I agree.
you know, when you start talking about getting it down to 8,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, less than 10 or something like that is really not that good.
Yeah. Well, that's
I don't
right.
know.
You know, if there isn't enough money in it to do it,
Yeah.
then I agree. There's no point in
Well, what we can do is take a good look at it and put in a contract that would give us 10 on the bottom line. If they don't want it, well, fine.
But that's kind of an all or nothing shot. You know, I think most of us are very, very concerned that we get the contract so that we get at least the 8. Now.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk it over when Brian
Brian
gets
comes
home.
back.
Yeah. Okay.
We talk to each other regularly. One knows what the other is doing, which is very important. We're a small corporation and fortunately able to pretty well conduct our operation on a hands-on basis.
We don't like the traditional triangle that you find in so many corporate organizations, starting with the president and going down through a series of vice presidents and directors and managers.
We don't encourage appointments of administrators or staff assistants. We, again, like to get into the swim directly, know what's going on, get it firsthand. We don't get the filtration process that way. We eliminate it.
We know what people are doing. We know what's going on. We know where our costs are going up. We know where things are going wrong, and we move in to change things and to improve things at all times.
You can make your decisions very much more quickly. If you see a destination is getting into real trouble, we can make the decision far more quickly to get out of that destination, redeploy the aircraft somewhere else than our competitors can, because they've got to talk about it and go over and over and over it. Whereas Ward is happy to be told that, yes, we're making money.
I'm afraid I'm just an old bush pilot that has developed into a bigger airline than I'd ever thought I would develop into, and I'm still using the techniques I used in the North, and that is knowing what is going on and assigning people to do jobs and letting them do it.
My first job in Wardair was a flight attendant.
How many years ago was that?
15 years ago now. There was only 25 of us. Right now we have about 600, and they used to pull us in when the aircraft was on the ground to have it cleaned, and Mr. Ward would get out and help us clean the aircraft. We'd be in coveralls, and I think to myself, gee, this is really glamorous. I started as a flight attendant, here I am cleaning the aircraft. But when you saw the president of the airline clean it, we'd have to make sure that all marks were off. We'd strip the toilet down.
I can just imagine how often they're used during one flight, considering there's 300 people aboard the aircraft. So if they're being used once or twice, you can figure out how many times they're used on one flight alone. Give it another flush here.
I'm doing all the washing, which comes off of all the dirty, filthy aircrafts. Comes in from check. I do 2,625 pieces per week. Just like before and after. When it comes in, it's a disaster. When it goes out, it's just beautiful. It's Mr. Ward's standards of, he likes it all nice, fresh and clean. Just the gentleman he is, he comes in and he sees you and talks to you for a couple of minutes and asks us how things are. Just asks me to keep the good work going, and that's what I do.
Red cherries or green cherries, 2 shrimp or 3. Every fork, every knife, every place setting has to be inspected and approved by Max.
I don't like to eat on plastic plates and use plastic implements for when I'm eating. I want to eat off good quality crockery, and I want good quality of everything. So why not Royal Dalton? The other thing that one must remember is that there's a lot of good economics in Royal Dalton. Royal Dalton doesn't break as easily as other crockery, for instance. And remember, your throwaway is a very expensive item these days. Plastics are much more expensive than they were a few years ago.
All these fabrics now, are they all exclusive to Wardair?
Yes, these are all exclusive patterns, colours. The whole aircraft has been designed, and Mr. and Mrs. Ward chose most of the colours.
What's this stuff worth a sheet?
They're approximately $300 per sheet.
So if you don't do it right, you got a $300 mistake.
Exactly.
Hello. Hi.
Every morning and every afternoon, he patrols his empire. They know he is coming.
Here we go. Got air in there.
Yep.
You maybe pull the air down, you could get rid of it.
It will work out.
What about your stock? You got lots of backs in,
Yep.
lots of them in stock,
Yep.
lots of bottoms, seat bottoms?
Yep.
Are they doing a proper job now?
Yep. Yeah.
Somebody checking on it?
Yes.
Who checks?
Jeff.
Jeff? Has he been down to Calgary lately?
I don't think he has, no, but he's checking the aircraft as they're coming through.
How long ago since he's been in Calgary?
Oh, I couldn't comment on that, Harry.
Well,
I'm sorry.
you
I
better
can't
get
help.
down there,
Yeah.
I think.
So where is the lumbar support?
Right here, lumbar support. And this comes off now, and the new one will go on, which is a lot firmer.
Whose idea was the lumbar support?
Max Ward.
So
basically said some people were complaining about sore backs, so he investigated different ideas to firm up the area right here.
Every 18 months, when you have 2,000 and 3,000 seats to cover, you're talking about a lot of money to keep those seat bottoms in a high state of condition. A seat on a 747 is about $1,000 per bottom. That means $456,000 for one set of seats on one aircraft. So that adds up to a lot of money.
when was the last time you received a memo from Max Ward?
I can't remember the last time I received a memo from Max Ward. I'd be very surprised to ever get one from him. Well, he gets at me pretty directly from time to time, like, what the hell's going on? He's giving me something right now.
I see your letter with respect to fuel tax.
Max and I have never had a memorandum as to who does what. In other words, a job description, as between us. We seem to fit into the roles that fit us best. And in doing it that way, there's very little kibitzing, very little recrimination if a mistake is made, because the Lord knows we all make mistakes. We're not divine in that area.
I really don't do much on the plane at all now. I used to be what's called a groomer, cleaning the aircraft. Then this job came up with the dry cleaning, and I put in for it, and I was lucky enough to get it.
In the old days, Wardair liked to think of itself as a happy family, but with expansion came unions.
We believe that management at Wardair has to have a high profile in union negotiations. So I participate extensively in major contract negotiations with our unions. And the policy is sound, I believe, because we are there, we are hearing at first hand the problems that surface back and forth across the table. We can deal with them directly, and we can make prompt decisions.
You think that unions are going to have to make concessions in a deregulatory environment?
Yes, I think unions are going to have to make concessions in a regulatory or a deregulatory environment. The costs are too high. The excesses of all of these years, 45 years of regulation, you can't wipe that out overnight. This means that we're going to have to pay less money to a lot of our people, and they're going to have to work longer hours, and they're going to have to do more. The slop and the freedom to operate within our industry has been lost. Sure, there's going to be labor problems associated with this. It's not going to be easy.
Not everyone is willing to sacrifice. Flight attendants have had 2 strikes. Wage freezes and layoffs have become a way of life. Lately, business hasn't been all that brisk.
I'm in the middle of, let's say, flights, coming here to help out during peak times of the year.
But at this moment, I do plan on staying as a flight attendant because I really enjoy that. But in the meantime, this is it's just an extra skill that I'm learning.
The flight attendants have remained unhappy. In 1984, after 6 months of threatened strikes, the Minister of Labour had to appoint a conciliator to break up the brawl.
That's the same old story that labor is going to yell. When they're back to the wall, scream safety.
Our doors here. And
but safety has always been a great bargaining tool, one bound to gain public sympathy. Emergency training is part of the job.
There, so you have to pretend.
Flight attendants must be prepared for the unthinkable.
The habit of doing that. Unfasten your seatbelts! Unfasten seatbelts! Come this way! Remove your shoes! Don't bring anything with you! Unfasten seatbelts! Come this way!
No airline can afford to sacrifice on safety. An accident can ruin your reputation or even put you out of business.
You two, stay at the bottom. Hold people back. Okay? Because remember, you have to be able to evacuate that aircraft in 90 seconds. And 90 seconds can seem like a lifetime.
But in a completely deregulated environment, wouldn't...
What's that got to do with it? The regulatory authorities, the Ministry of Transport that control the safety and the conduct of operations of carriers to make sure that they can operate and do what they say they can do safely, has nothing to do with this hearing. That's a separate government department. That's there whether there's regulation or deregulation. That doesn't change. That's a meat and potatoes thing. If you don't have a good, safe, sound operation, you can't make money anyhow. That's a fundamental of running the airline. You can't cheat on anything because your costs go out of pot. You can't have delayed flights by the thousand because you're not doing your maintenance. It just doesn't pay in dollars and cents. Your balance sheet will look awful at the end of the year. Large aircraft can really last indefinitely. You maintain it and maintain it to a high standard, so you're continually improving the engines or overhauling the engines or overhauling the components and modifying to make the aircraft better so it can really last forever mechanically. The big problem in this business, of course, is obsolescence. If you can get a machine that will cut your fuel costs 7 or 8%, you're going to have to get that machine. You're going to have to get it online. An aircraft is a specific tool. It's designed to do a specific job. A long-haul airplane is no good on short hauls or even medium haul. You've got to keep in mind that we're basically the only license that we've had has forced us to be a long-haul international carrier. So the smallest airplane we have carries 301 persons. You know, it's an awfully big aircraft. So we would have to restructure. In the meantime, we would use the 300-seat and the 450-seat passenger aircraft on the trunk routes. But it's not worth a darn taking a 747 from Toronto to Ottawa. And the economics just aren't there. It's not built for that.
No, we wouldn't encourage you to do that.
Holidays by Wardair, Donna speaking.
See you.
Do you want her to go win it? Are you ready?
Does Max Ward often come here?
Mr. Ward comes into the office on several occasions. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Are we on candid camera?
We're on candid camera.
Oh, okay.
What do you come in here for?
I'm in here to find out how the sales are going, basically. How are we doing today? And how are the phones ringing? Pretty good?
We're doing really well today. The call volume is good. One moment, please.
The week ending January the 30th, when we took approximately 50,000 new bookings, during that period of time, we actually got up to 6 transactions a second being processed. On our busiest periods, we have printed as many as 15 to 20,000 tickets in a given night. And from here, they're taken up to a distribution center where they are sorted and stuffed in envelopes and mailed out to our passengers.
The peak season, in the winter months, it's physically impossible to build a plant to accept all the telephone calls that are going to come in. So by signing contracts with up to 20 tour operators during the winter months, we have 20 other very respectable companies selling our product.
We know what our costs are. We operate the very services we're talking about providing at this time. We have the reservation systems in place. We have all the facilities and all of the other aspects of running a commercial air service. It will cost us very little more, really, to put a scheduled aircraft passenger into the aircraft than the charter passengers that we're putting in at the present time. So we know what our costs are. We're not coming from any guessing. We're not experimenting. We know what those costs are.
So you say you don't want to become a scheduled airline?
Under today's present regulatory environment, we don't really want to become one of the club and get all boxed in so that we can't move. We want to compete. And you can't compete if you're one of the club. If you're talking about running a parallel service, you're going to have to conform to what is going on today. That won't do us any good or the public any good.
If I had a window down,
Why are you coming on Wardair? Why? Yeah. Why are we going on Wardair?
It was the cheapest.
Cheapest?
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
It was the hotel that we wanted to go to. It was the tour that we wanted.
I see. And what are you going to do when you're down there?
We're on our honeymoon.
You're on your honeymoon?
We're taking them with us.
Yeah. Why are you taking them on your honeymoon? Well, I'm the best man.
He's the best man, and the other girl back there is the maid of honor.
I thought the best man was supposed to stay at home.
A little early.
No, not this one. No?
We're going on our honeymoon first, and then we're coming back and getting married.
Ah, that's, you're going to try it out first?
Sure.
Yeah. Where's the groom?
Yeah.
What has he got to say? He doesn't look very happy.
Not much. I never say too much.
No? It's awful hot in Acapulco.
We hope so.
This has been one of the big advantages of charter. Here's the price. Everybody pays the same price on the same airplane. It has been most convenient for the traveler and for the travel agent. A lot of people pay too much when they travel scheduled because the travel agent can't figure out what the schedules are. I don't blame them. It's a very difficult situation. Regulation, regulation. All it does is complicate things.
Fuel, 135.2, set for start. Pressurization, set in auto, 1 door to go.
When removed from its casing, the jacket looks like this. To put the jacket on, slip it over your head. Take hold of both straps behind you and give them a sharp downward pull to extend the back flap. Attach both rings to the buckles. Then pull both yellow tabs in an outward motion to tighten the straps around your waist.
It's not working. PA is not working.
Okay, my name is Murray Cott. I'm the captain of the aircraft, and at the present time we're 286 nautical miles due north of Bermuda.
Right now, as we have a program, the autopilot is doing all the work. It is all tied together with the inertial navigation systems, and it's completely an automatic flight.
Max Ward says that someday this whole thing will be automated.
Oh,
Bullshit.
I would say that the possibility and the technology certainly is there.
But I can't see anybody sitting back there and not wanting a pilot up here. I mean, I wouldn't sit back there.
Well, we'd like to always have pilots up here too. We feel much better.
I think I would too. Well, would you want to get in an airplane without anybody driving? Not me. No. I wouldn't. It's a funny thing about human nature. You could make an aircraft that probably is quite conceivable, could take off, fly, and land completely by itself. They have the technology. Is this the best seat in the house up here? Definitely. I got the best chair in the whole airplane.
Good morning, gentlemen.
How are you today, Mr. Ward?
Just fine, thanks.
Are you enjoying? Well, pretty good. Are you enjoying the flight?
Yep.
That's
very
good.
well done. Nice takeoff, I noted.
Well, we hope the landing will be as good.
Aren't they always?
Well, we try. We do our best.
How's the aircraft? Clean? No snags? On time?
It's at 1:30.
Electronics that they have in store for you in the next generation is going to make this obsolete, has made this obsolete. I report on the various aspects of the service that I see. I report on aircraft unserviceabilities. For instance, I noticed that one of the 16 labs on the aircraft was unserviceable, and I'd like to know why it was dispatched out of Toronto in an unserviceable state. My list here is about 18 or 19 items, and when I get to the office tomorrow morning, I will write the items up and dispatch them to each of the departments responsible for the repairs or changes or corrections in question. Nice to see you again. Right, very good flight.
Well, we were looking forward to seeing you, but didn't know it was that soon.
Full load out?
Yes.
Full load out.
456.
The way we like it.
I remember when I first joined the company, Mr. Ward spoke to me personally and he said, Stephen, you're down on Barbados and you're in one of the destinations. You're going to have to make decisions on your own. Just bear one thing in mind. When you have to make a decision, this way or that, just give the passenger all of the benefit of the doubt, and you'll be okay.
So you fly Wardair all the time?
Yes, sir.
Several of them will have their specific hotel and fly Wardair and put those two together as a package, and they come year after year.
Max Ward himself dropped me a note and said that we know that you keep coming to South Winds and you occupy the only room over which we have no control. And he made a proposition in terms of a package deal, I guess we now know it to be, and I didn't need to ask my accountant that I should accept it.
People are not traveling unless the price is right.
No one owns sun, sand. Everybody flies the same airplanes to the same destinations. It's the quality of service you provide at the price that you provide it that is going to be the difference between success and failure. Barbados is a beautiful island with all the things you would need of a tropical holiday, and yet the prices have become so high within the island for accommodation that the Canadian public in the winter of '82, '83 backed off from the destination, and we had to get the prices down by nearly 50% to get the public going back.
Come to the party, look at what you got. Well, I'm hot, you're hot. He's hot, she's hot. I'm hot, you're hot. He's hot, she's hot. How you feeling? I want to hear you.
Tourist economies depend on tourist dollars. In Barbados, Wardair has even more clout than in Hawaii. Hotel owners compete for Wardair's package tours, and the company is listened to by local government.
Wardair is in a unique position in Barbados among charter carriers because it is the only charter carrier that has permission to pick up passengers and cargo from Barbados to take them to Canada.
On a 747 such as this, we can carry, in addition to the full passenger complement in their baggage, that's 456 passengers, from Honolulu to Canada, we could carry another 56,000 pounds of cargo.
We can't carry freight, for instance, across the North Atlantic because although we have the Canadian Authority, we don't have the British Authority or the German Authority or the French Authority or the Dutch Authority.
Under our operating authority, we have been agitating for domestic scheduled operating rights. We've been agitating for other operating rights to Florida, the Caribbean. In the normal process of things, this has been going on now for 2 to 2.5 years, and I have a theory about government awards on requests like this. It seems to cycle at about 5 years.
Mr. Chairman, Wardair has provided the Canadian public with good, sound transportation for 31 years. Why have we been denied access to the whole of the air transportation market? In fact, why should any Canadian carrier be denied access to the whole of the air transportation market, particularly after they have proved themselves in the marketplace? How in heaven's name could more scheduled service be detrimental to the public interest?
What we want is the ability of the public to have a choice and enough competition that pricing is not artificially fixed. We could fly people between Toronto and Vancouver round trip today for approximately 2/3 of what Air Canada and CP are doing it and make substantial amounts of money.
The airlines aren't making any money today. We can't keep on going on the same path we are because we're not facing market realities, because the profile of the consumer has changed. The whole philosophy in Canada right today with all its regulation is to squeeze the passenger into paying economy fares. Because the airlines, their whole economic base and their whole philosophy is look after the must-ride passenger, the business passenger. That's the whole philosophy. They depend on it for revenues. The other stuff, they just discount seats, some way to get rid of those seats that the high-paying scheduled passenger won't buy. That's all it is. But the market's changed. There's more discount passengers now. After 45 years of protection, they're sitting in a beautiful position here in Canada. Excellent position. Why should they receive any more protection? If they can't perform for the Canadian public and get low rates now, they've got everything else. They're not regulated. We are. The government of Canada says you will follow these rules. What business do you know of that 2 weeks before the flight is to part or before you deliver the service, you got to quit selling the product. And any seats that are unsold in that two-week period are supposed to go empty. It's stupid. That's the philosophy that we work under. It's all as artificial as an $18 bill.
I'm sorry, I still don't understand it, but why is there a 2-week booking?
Because the airlines decided that they would block the business passenger from using the seat. The business passenger doesn't know 2 weeks ahead of time when he's going to have to travel. And then if you do buy the ticket, then you have to pay a penalty for having it.
So it's to gouge, for lack of a better description, the must-ride passenger then?
That's right. Absolutely. I know it's hard to understand. After 38 years, I can hardly understand it myself because it's so artificial.
The car companies did not listen to what the public was looking to buy. They adopted the position, you'll buy what we're making. If ever we do that, I think we'd be in trouble, don't you?
Some of the things that we've been thinking about lately is, okay, in a changing industrial society, and this is long-range thinking, we're seeing a transition. Are we going to have high unemployment with us for 10 or 15 years? That could well be in a transitioning society where we're going out of heavy production and into service-oriented business and communications. And what does that mean to us? Does that mean a growing market for us if you have that level of unemployment? That's one of the things that we have to look at in that way-out planning that we have to do. Where is it going to take the industry? Is there going to be more pleasure travel? I personally think that as time goes by and communications improve, that we're going to see less and less business travel and more leisure travel.
And this is why our government's got to recognize the importance of air travel and the importance of getting the cost of air travel down. The recession is teaching people we can't expect more than we earn. And I think that there's going to become a cap on that. We're finding our feet again in the airline business, but only competition will provide low-cost transportation for the public. It's the only thing.
Are you saying the recession's a good thing for your business?
Yes, I think it's a good thing for all business. Very frankly, I think we had to come off of top dead center and get down to the realities of living. People have to put in an hour's work for an hour's pay. That's what the recession's all about.
You agree with that?
I agree with it. In fact, what I was going to add is the fact that we keep hearing in the industry today about, well, when things get back to normal. Well, if they ever go back to the normalcy that was in our business, we won't be around if we behave like that. We have to be better producers, more efficient producers, and I think what Max has said about a recession, it's taught us a lesson.
You think we were wasteful?
We were wasteful and we were poor managers. And if there's one thing we've learned, is we're going to learn how to manage our business. We've learned it in the last 2 years when the sledding got so tough. And the day we return to the old ways, well, you can just kiss us goodbye.
What is the challenge that you're putting up?
The challenge I am placing before the regulatory authorities is for the government to deregulate the industry, throw down the gauntlet, face the facts that we must have deregulation in this country and competition in the airline industry, and the Canadian public will think it's great.
Thanks.
You two fellas seem to be kind of excited about your jobs. This is rather unusual now. Are you normal?
These are exciting times. They're very exciting. When you got a tiger by the tail, you can't let go. It'll eat you. That it? Run out of questions already? Well, it's your airfares on your pocketbook I'm talking about. Sure. Sure.
Avec 21 minutes et